the question about the book and holistic, and my whole being believes that, and we know now through research and everything else, there is a tremendous amount of mouth to body relationship. So when I wrote this book, Mind, Body, Soul, and Smile, the mind part of it to me is like being confident, like having a great smile gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. If you're able, smile is like the universal like greeting of happiness and everything else. So the mind is more the being confident and everything. The body is literally, when you think about the mouth, it's where we breathe through. So there's a lot of relationship with breathing and tongue and sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea by the tongue and everything. So that's part of the body. The other part of it is it's where we speak. So if you're missing teeth, if you have, then it can definitely interrupt how you speak and everything. It's where we intake nutrition. So if your mouth is unhealthy, you've got bacteria in there, you're ingesting that even without eating any nutrition. If you cannot chew your food properly, had an 82-year-old that was going down like really bad because she just couldn't eat. We put a few implants in, took her denture, made it to where she could snap in her denture, and she lived another 10 years, and I don't think she would have made another 2 if we wouldn't have done that. So the body, definitely the mouth, we breathe through it, we eat, our smile, chewing, all of that is a huge part. The soul is, again, to me, part of the confidence, part of being who you are. You feel a lot better about yourself. So your inner soul, and then of course the smile kind of connects to all of that. But we've learned so much. Like for the bacteria that's below the gum line, we have to think about it because the gum that's against the tooth is like one cell layer thick. So it doesn't take much for bacteria to penetrate and get into our bloodstream. That's why patients that have any kind of valve problems with their heart or anything get pre-medicated before any kind of dental work, because bacteria that gets in and travels along the circulatory system, and then that valve is slowly closing. The bacteria can get there and vegetate there and then just totally destroy the valve, and all of a sudden you've got major heart problems. And the thing is what's crazy to me, so we pre-medicate that patient with antibiotic, but the other 3 months or 6 months that they're not pre-medicated, same thing is happening. It's still irritated, it's still bleeding. The gum layer is still set one cell layer thick where that bacteria is penetrating. So arterial sclerosis, the only place in the human body that P. gingivalis, which is a bacteria that's below the gum line, it can only live in an unoxidated state. So it has to be in that pocket below 5 millimeters. That is what's found in the hardening and the lining of the arteries, where the hardening of the arteries occur. So then there's other bacteria that's associated that can cross the blood-brain barrier that end up in your brain, spirochetes, things like that. So I mean, I can just go on and on, but there's so much of a relationship between our mouth to body, and thank goodness physicians and dentists are coming together. And I've never understood why that's not already happened. That hey, if you have a non-healthy mouth and you have diabetes, you got so much inflammation in the mouth. Diabetes creates inflammation. If you get your gums healthy and you get that, now all of a sudden your diabetes becomes much easier to control, and you're not like, this is helping diabetes get worse, diabetes is making your gum tissue get worse. So you have a huge connection there. And I mean, like I said, I can go on and on with sleep apnea and high blood pressure and sleep apnea and low testosterone for men. And I mean, there's just such a huge part of, and so that's why I did this book. It's been a bit because it says 30 years at the time, so 5 years ago I did this book. So as far as one habit for patients to start to to give them better oral health and overall health, I would say floss, water pick, obviously brush, do that part of it, and identify, like, if you have a periodontal problem, a gum problem, the way I tell patients is there's no miracle cure for that. It's all about maintaining, unless it gets so bad, then you go into surgery. And even after surgery, if you don't stay on top of it, like I have patients that come in, they'll spend thousands of dollars, go through the surgery, go through every 3 months, and then all of a sudden they just disappear for like 2 years, and they come back and they're either worse than what they ever were before. So it's one of those things, like if you're diabetic, there's no miracle that's going to make diabetes go away. You learn how you're going to maintain, manage it, that kind of thing, by how you eat and exercise, whatever that is. Well, it's the same kind of thing with periodontal disease. It's not going away, but you certainly were looking to make it to where you can maintain it at home. So, I mean, we see patients every 3 months. They clean their teeth because some people just build that up. They're more prone to periodontal disease. And if they have any kind of immune issues, they're going to even be more prone to it. This is the second book after I did the first one, as the $1 Million Smile. And this is really an awesome book because I did a chapter out of this book. So the company asked me, and I think there's 11 other of us that did 12 chapters in the book. And each one of us were responsible for doing one. And so each one of these, one of them's talking about doing veneers, one of them's talking about gum contouring, one of them's talking about patients that are nervous, how do you sedate somebody and make them comfortable. There's so much in this book. It's such a great read for somebody that is considering doing any kind of cosmetic dentistry, whether it's just simple stuff or way more involved. That there's dentists from all over. I mean, this is an orthodontist. I'm in here somewhere with my picture, but there's TMJ in here too. Like, there's a lot covered because if your bite is off and you have TMJ and you have migraines and everything else, you have more of a collision bite instead of a protected bite, and orthodontics can fix a lot of that. And there are times with doing a small makeover that you need to straighten the teeth before you can even look at doing veneers or anything. So it can get really complicated, but that's what's cool about this book. And it just talks about, changing lives with cosmetic dentistry and creating smiles and stories and all of that in there. But it was really fun to do that. I've considered a complete honor. The other one I did just because I'd read so much about the mouth to body relationship. The most memorable reaction, besides the one that I told you where so we had the one that the patient sent me the photo after being able to go to the cocktail hour for the first time for working with this company for like 20 years. The other one, and this is how I started talking about kids and kids and ortho and everything. The other one that I remember is I had this young girl. She was a senior in high school. She came into the office. Her parents were like, can you do something for her? She's just so self-conscious of her smile and everything. And we ended up doing basically at the time, which was like veneers that were perfect for her age group, that weren't like crazy expense. And I remember putting them in and just how thrilled she was in the chair. But when I released her out of the chair, and my office is got a window on it where I can see outside in the parking lot, I watched her skip and hop all the way out to her car, which was just right outside of my door. And the first thing she did was grab the rearview mirror, pulled it down, looked into it, and was just doing the dance and everything else. And then all of a sudden I saw her start to cry. That was like amazing. So that to me, I see that, you know, that, but like I said, I've had so many of those, it's hard to like just pick one, because when you just in, like I said, in temporaries, the patient immediately is just, this is something for most patients that it's been 30 years of them being like that, or 40 years, or, I had a gentleman the other day that came in that just like, I've got to do something. I look terrible. I'm so embarrassed. I just have neglected my teeth and everything. And he's going to be a full mouth. Like, we're doing upper and lower, but he knows how much of an effect it's had on him. And I cannot wait to just, when we finish him, it'll be like another story for me to share, which, like I said, that's the passion. That's the fun part. That's what still makes this so rewarding every day.